Thanks so much for joining us here at noon on this Thursday. JCPS facing a major teacher shortage with schools starting in less than a month. The district needs 362 classroom teachers, and teacher unions say the biggest reason educators are underpaid. According to JCTA, more than 80% of JCPS teachers have a graduate degree that is not reflected in their salary. To fight that shortage, JCPS says it's bringing in a staffing agency to fill 150 spots. The district is also facing a $150 million budget shortfall in the next 2 years. And our new superintendent, Brian Yearwood, told us despite cuts, he has some non-negotiables.
We must protect our classrooms. We must protect our teachers. We must ensure that regardless of whatever cuts are made, it does not take away from a high quality learning environment.
JCPS is hosting a job fair tomorrow in the hopes of filling as many spots as possible. It is from 10 to 2 at the Center for Professional Learning. Symbols across Kentucky and showing the support for a Barstown family who has finally received some closure in a mystery that's captivated the entire community for 10 years. From the Galt house lit up in pink overnight to ribbons and signs on the streets. From here in Louisville down to Barstown. This just days after a jury found Brooks Houck and Joseph Lawson guilty of Crystal Rogers' murder. Now, Sheriff Pennaroa, in a one-on-one interview, told us he believes other members of the Houck family may be in line next for prosecution. It's the big question many of you have been asking. That verdict in the Crystal Rogers case was what many in Bardstown had been waiting for, including the Nelson County Sheriff. He turned the case over to the FBI about years ago, hoping they would get this result, and sat down with our Shane McAllister, who's followed the story from the beginning.
10 years ago, the Crystal Rogers investigation started right here at the Nelson County Sheriff's Office when Sherry Ballard came here to report her daughter missing. And today, one day after a verdict in that case, the sheriff tells me he's proud of the work that was done, but there's still more to do, and he is confident more convictions will be on the way. Crystal Rogers' missing poster still hangs on the front door of the sheriff's department.
That will stay there as long as I'm the sheriff. We got a conviction, but we got to bring her home.
Sheriff Raymond Pennaroa says it was his idea to turn the case over to the FBI. He sent a letter in 2019 asking for help.
It was kind of stagnant. We were kind of at the same place and needed a fresh set of eyes to come in and take a look.
But he says he saw his department's work on display at trial, evidence they collected, people they knew were involved. Do you think the jury got it right?
1,000%. 1,000%.
Do you think this community is safer after yesterday's verdict?
It is.
As for the two unindicted co-conspirators mentioned in the case, Rosemary Houck and Nick Houck, he predicts their time is coming.
I can foresee things coming. Don't know for a fact, but I've been in this for a little bit over 19 years. And I can see a future indictment or arrest on those two.
And what about the other unsolved cases from this community? You know, the Ballard family still waiting on Tommy's case. The Ellis family still waiting on Jason's case. Do you see this verdict pushing any movement in either one of those?
Yes.
Why do you think so?
Deep down, you have that gut feeling, and scary, but it's still the same from day one to now.
And do you think it might be the same family that was just involved in Crystal's case?
Could be.
For Jason's, what about Tommy's?
Oh, I'm 100% on Tommy's, yes.
It was the Houck family?
I believe so. He was getting too close. He was going to find his daughter.
And you think that cost him his life?
I believe so. Oh, so.
When do you see movement in those cases? Sooner rather than later? Do you think we'll see it in the next year?
Soon. Soon.
He says for this community, the verdict is a win, but the work isn't done. And he looks forward to the day America's most beautiful small town gets to reclaim that reputation. In Bardstown, Shane McAllister, WHAS11, on your side.
Now, the prosecution already said both Brooks' mother, Rosemary Houck, and his brother there, Nick, are unindicted co-conspirators. Our legal analyst, attorney Nick Mudd, also a former prosecutor, said we will have to wait to see if those charges will be brought against the two.
It's hard to say what they would be charged with. It could be conspiracy to commit murder. We don't know. But the problem is they have to go based on the evidence they have. And we just don't know yet what evidence they do have. I would say if they get charged, it would be within the next 6 months to a year. Could be sooner, could be later.
Well, the case of Crystal Rogers is among other murders in Bardstown believed to be tied together, as you heard Shay talk about, including her father, Tommy Ballard, and Bardstown police officer Jason Ellis from back in 2013, both still unsolved murders. Mudd telling us even if there is a connection, it could still be quite a while before we see anything happen with those cases.
I mean, people have worked thousands and thousands of hours on this, and the question is, are those resources going to be available to switch focus? Because it's not as simple as saying, okay, we think you're involved too, we're just going to charge you. It's not that simple.
Now, sentencing for Brooks Houck and Joseph Lawson is scheduled for Thursday, August 21st, but Mudd tells us he expects there would be a motion for a new trial filed before sentencing can happen. See our full interviews with both legal analyst Nick Mudd and the Nelson County Sheriff. Head to our website, WHAS11.com. There you can also find a recap of the entire trial and keep up with the latest from the Crystal Rogers murder mystery by downloading the free WHAS 11 Plus app. The former Bardstown police chief who once worked these cases facing a charge of his own. Rick McCubbin was arrested last month in Louisville on a misdemeanor domestic violence assault and harassment charge. According to court documents, he got into a physical altercation with two people, grabbing one by the arms and pinning her to the wall, then throwing a second person to the bed. His next scheduled court appearance is set for December 19th. A lot of news to get to. One thing we can all agree on is it's a beautiful day out there, Matt Breland.
Very much a July summertime day for us, Brooke. Temperatures are warming up closer to the 90s as we go later on into the afternoon. We're going to see those 90s, but it's already feeling like it whenever you factor in the humidity for us at the moment. A few of those pop-up clouds amongst the sunny skies with winds a bit breezy out of the west at 13 miles per hour, gusting close to 20 miles per hour at times. You'll notice temperatures for the rest of us ranging into those mid to upper 80s. Near Shepherdsville, 82 near LaGrange, 81 near Madison, Indiana, 87 for you folks near Seymour, 75 a bit cooler for you folks near Mumfordville. Satellite and radar continuing to keep us mostly quiet and dry. You'll notice over just towards portions of eastern Kentucky. They're seeing some of those isolated showers beginning to develop. This is still going to be in the forecast later into our aftertime. Notice how these showers are very small and concentrated in some localized areas like this one just passing just towards the east of Shelbyville. That's going to be a common forecast for us as we head throughout the next upcoming hours. I'm still expecting a few of these small isolated showers to develop just as we go later into the afternoon time. Likely between 3 and 5 p.m. is going to be the timing for most of them for a few of us to see those isolated showers develop. So we are going to continue to see some warmer temperatures, a little bit warmer than average, and also more chances for showers, especially into the later parts of this weekend. All those details coming up here in just a few short minutes. Brooke?
Matt, a major change is coming to a long-standing Louisville tradition. For the first time in its history, the St. Joe's Picnic is dropping its famed fried chicken dinner. Generations of families have visited and worked that 176-year-old picnic. St. Joe's said the change came after listening to the needs of the community. So instead, it'll be leaning into food trucks and snacks to replace the big dinner.
We've had food trucks as part of Picnic now for about 5 years roughly. And so in that we see that they're kind of moving more in that direction. So it's change, and change is a very natural part of things, and so we're just adjusting to that.
St. Joe's stopped making the fried chicken dinners on site several years ago and had other restaurants come in. The annual St. Joe's Picnic is August 8th and 9th and of course supports the work of the St. Joseph Children's Home, home to some of our area's most vulnerable kids looking for a forever family.